Tuna wageni watatu wa Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Karibuni sana.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here. What were you taught about marriage? Did it have you properly prepared for the journey or desperately frustrated looking for the nearest escape? I'm Shar, founder of Law for Love, the most special place in the legal system in Atlanta. And after navigating families through the court system for more than 13 years, we are now taking those lessons learned to serve and support families to build healthier, happier, more purposeful marriages. Join us live on YouTube at Law for Love ATL Monday nights for our family meetings. Yes, grown folk discussions.
Shalom, family. Sister Shar,
Hey, shalom, shalom.
how's your day going so far? Your morning.
Well, look, we're up in here in hacker mode, right? So, shalom, family. Welcome to Q2UA discussions, live Fridays, and we are your hackers for today. Sister Shar, Brother Michael. How are you, Brother Michael?
If I did complain, I don't even listen to my own self, so I'm doing pretty good.
That's what you have to do sometimes.
Yes, you do. Matter of fact, you have to do that a lot of times.
You do. And look, I mean,
Um,
I suppose that's why we are encouraged to make a joyful noise. Sometimes pushing through what we feel to give all praises and glory to the Most High is just that act of worship and sacrifice that really, really breaks through for us. And so I'm just blessed and honored that we made it to another day and that we have the goodness and the mercies of the new sunrise, right? As the scripture tells us, each day comes with new mercies. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm very, very thankful that you and I were able to hack in.
Hey, why? Hey, when you was about to get the show started, it was running behind already. So I was about to send a text out that we'll be on very soon. Having some technical difficulties and things of that nature. By the time you start, I said, well, let me erase this. I'm about to go on now.
Yes. So, here at Question Night Africa, we strongly believe in teamwork, making the dream work. And while you may have come on here expecting to hear Brother Karras, we are definitely doing the teamwork ministry this morning to just dive in and talk about all of the exciting blessings and favor for the past week here at Question Night Africa and the news. So I saw that the title was something that I didn't know about. Do you know anything about this title?
No, I didn't either. And I just read the paragraph that Brother Karras put in there, and I understand the reason why he put it there. It's the turning up of a nation that's fed up with colonialism. And yes, I mean there's some implication that can go with it, but at the same time, we are all under attack, no matter what goes on. I mean, you knew it had to start with Africa.
Right.
It was a must that it start with Africa. And you see how far Africa have came up in the last couple of years. Now they're the main focus of all these other nations. Even in Sister Shar,
yeah,
even in South Africa, they was talking about a civil war against the black Africans. Why is everybody now all of a sudden the civil war is it's like a slang term going out now? Everybody's talking about civil war. If the blacks do this, here's going to be a civil war. You on a continent that's full of people that look like us, and you go utter those words?
Well, you gotta find a boogeyman, right? We all know that most of the conflict all over the world has been instigated through a very ancient strategy called divide and conquer, right?
Yeah.
Someone from the outside came in and started stirring up stuff among brethren. And it's funny. There's a passage in Proverbs that lists the 7 things that Yah hates. And one of them is sowing discord amongst brethren. Like, this is actually listed as an abomination to bring strife between brothers. And this has been the global strategy of neocolonialism so that they can continue to take and oppress while having the people fight amongst themselves. Divide and conquer works. And
yes, it does.
when they start throwing around that term civil war, that's when we should perk up and start recognizing that, you know what, we're better together. Someone's trying to divide us, someone's trying to sow discord among us, and we're going to get robbed. Like, we really need to understand that if we allow division, someone will be taking advantage and taking from us while they're dividing us. And this is what Africa is becoming more keen on.
Wow. And you know what? And that like divide and conquer. And the sad thing about it is, did you know that the Bible is divided?
Oh, you're talking about like when I stressed out my Bible study and tore out that page that said New Testament.
Ain't that something? I mean, but think about it, Sister Shar. Think about this. If you want to divide a people, they did. They didn't. And when I say this, I mean this literally. It worked like a charm.
Yep.
It worked like a charm. Yep. Because now many of Christian people, they believe, no, we need to follow the New Testament. The Old Testament is done away with. That's the divide. And who came up with it? A Gentile. Wow. But the moment we stand back and say, look, we're going to take old and new out of our book. When I say our book, I mean our book. And you just deal with Testament. When you start mentally looking at it like that, you will see, oh, wait a minute. All of this is connected. There's a discord that they brought in, and it did just like they wanted to do.
Exactly. It always works. It's such an effective strategy, Brother Mike. Like, let's bring it down to like the everybody's house, right? If you have kids, you have seen kids learn that if I can't get my way from daddy, I'm gonna go to mommy, right? So divide and conquer is so effective that even children use it to get what they want. And what does Paul teach? Paul says that we are not ignorant of the enemy's devices. And so we have to know that this has been one of the most effective. So when you go into the landmass, you carve it up into 54 different countries. You have all these different languages. Like, it's all divided by language, divided by region, divided by tribe, divided, like all of this division to say that all of you are different. Why? Because if we see our commonality, if we see our shared interest, we will do a better job protecting our resources and our interests against those who are trying to divide us.
Woo. Yes, and that's the thing. That right there is something that we all should be alert to. We seen the contention that they have brought in, and they use that. I mean, like in the comments they had of the art of war and stirring up stuff. And the West is known. I mean, they practice that like it is religion for them. Hey, it is literally a religion. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Check out this prophetic word right here. This is a prophetic word right here, y'all. Sister Lila said, Lila, I tell my children, what did your daddy say? This is how we need to move as a people. Yeah. When the enemy comes to divide us, we need to be asking ourselves, what did our daddy say? What did Abba Yah say? We need to be checking in with what daddy said. I love that you said this, sister, because we have to go back when you're talking about our book and our culture and what they took and how they divided it and how they divided us. What unifies us is what our daddy said about us.
Wow. You know, I was thinking about that. Because, you know, back in the days, the mother was like, what did your father say? You know, and then, you know, they had to redirect themselves, even though they probably didn't want to go to their father, but now they know they got to go back to the father and get yay or nay.
Yeah, because they will
And then,
surely divide your house if your affection is towards your children more than it is to upholding that unity between you, your husband, your wife. Those kids will come in and divide to get what they little selfish self want.
That is something now. That is something. But I mean, you know, we know we're living in special times. We are living in special times. All of the hoopla that's going on with the Islamic Corporation, and then everybody's always talking about the Christian people. Now, what you notice that both of these mainstream religions are like talking points. They're talking points from the get-go. Now all they right there in the forefront now.
Yep.
But these are the main two that came in and separated our book. One went to the left, the other one went to the right. You know, but this is what they did, and then they forced us into their practice.
Yeah.
And took bits and pieces of the book, and then left the historical bloodline they claim out of the book. Exactly. And the Most High wasn't worried about that blood. You know, not saying he wasn't worried about the bloodline, but when you talking about that was written in paper, he knows his people. He said he left a sign up on his people.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm.
It is, and that's why we have to begin to see each other in the light of his love and his concern and his destiny that he placed on us. We have to begin to see that. And part of the problem is, you know, when I think about what it is that divides us, right? Look at the name of our organization, Quest to Unite. Well, if you're divided against yourself, even on an individual level, what they conditioned us to do is not see the greatness in us. They've been calling us a sleeping giant for generations because they've been so successful in giving us a repeated program that we're not good enough, that we can't do anything together. One of the first things that you hear commonly in the Black community, as soon as Black folk get up to work together, is what? Black folk can't work together. Like, that is deeply entrenched in our consciousness, right? And so beginning with ourself, I have to see myself the way my daddy see me. I have to say what my daddy says about me. I have to see what my daddy says about my brother. You know, even when you think about how Jacob had these 12 sons and how they moved as brothers, and I mention you a lot, Brother Michael, when I talk about our mindset towards our brothers and our sisters. We have to return to the ancient ways of fighting for our brothers and sisters the way that Jacob's sons did. Like when they
yeah, they won. Yes, they did. They came 12 deep. One was not going without the other.
Exactly. Hey, I'm reading that story in Jasher when Judah was confronting Joseph about returning Benjamin. He's like, look, you can say what you want, you can feel how you want, but if you don't give us our brother back, we got to tear your country up.
We cannot leave without this boy. We can't do that now. I'm sorry. We can't do that.
Exactly. They're about to tear Egypt up over Benjamin. So that is what we're turning back to. That is what the Unite in Q2UA is all about. It's about regarding each other with that same honor and that same value that we see from the culture and the writings of our people. When our people called for somebody to come and help them in war, your brother responded. Your brother would come. Even when Israel was divided, if the king of Israel or Samaria sent out to the king of Judah, hey, I need you to come and fight with me, the king of Judah responded. Why? Because he knew that was his brother. And he knew he needed to come and see about his brother's best interest. This was always the culture of our people. And that's what was divided from us, taken away from us, and we were pitted against each other. Oh, the one in the field, the one in the house, and then you got the Sambo, and all this other stuff, and then the colorism, and then all the foolishness. I mean, every way you could divide us, even from the way your nose shaped. It's just nonsense to remove from us that culture of fighting for your brother and your sister.
And that's what's happening. I mean, that's, girl, I tell you, when they went in, when the world went in on us, they went in deep. They went in, so deep. I don't even think that we can understand just how the depth of what they practice against us to keep us away from us and from our Creator. The world knew that we was about the only one that had we worship only one Creator. That was it. Other gods, they had like 2 or 3, maybe. I know India, they got like over 30,000 different gods. Yeah, I'd be thoroughly confused if I had to have that many. Who are you praying to?
I know.
But I mean, it's we had a good thing, and then at the same time, I will blame we got to blame ourselves, because it was our forefathers who put us in this predicament. We didn't have an ounce of information of why we was in our predicament. We called ourselves Christian, Islamic, and we were still being hated by the brother that you claim to be a part of a religion. They still hated you. I was a Christian. The whites, they didn't too much like us. I never forget when we had our assembly, Sister Shar. We went to Memphis, Tennessee for our assemblies, maybe, and things. But the white brothers, they went to Fayetteville. That's northern Arkansas. They went there because there was a whole lot of whites there. So don't sit me and tell me you call yourself brothers and sisters, even though you may be up under one building. But when it started to break up, because I never forget this, being a child, and I always ask myself, I said, why the so-and-so don't never be at this? And come to find out they went to the white one.
How many of us have, experienced that? I can say that even in one of the most integrated congregations that I was a part of, very, renowned for having so many different cultures and ethnic groups represented, there was still like, we were all in the congregation together for service, but then after church, you separated into packs. You separated into your, you separated into your clique. So
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
So even in, a very integrated religious experience, there still was not that community. When you brother and sister, when y'all actually sit down to break bread, when you actually going out to eat and break bread, that's where that brotherhood and that sisterhood is happening. How do we know that? We know that because in the book of Acts, every day, the believers, our brothers and sisters in faith, they were meeting at each other's house. These were home meetings. See, home, it doesn't get more close to the heart than the house. These buildings, you know, it creates like an appearance of integration, but you're not really brothers and sisters if y'all haven't been to each other's house. You haven't broken bread with each other. You're not helping. You're not doing life together. And that separation and that segregation, even within the religion, has just been a constant, even in the congregations that appear to be integrated. I have seen one very rare, very special assembly where I did not pick up that black-white divide. It was very, very bizarre for me to attend this one particular assembly, and so their leadership had a very special something that did not have that present. But that's the only time in my entire life that I ever attended any type of gathering, a religious gathering, where you did not perceive the racial or the cultural or the ethnic divide.
You know, I know when they used to have the teaching that you should be willing to die for your brothers. And I was about the only one that was kind of crazy about that. I was like, I don't know about that now. I was talking to my friends, and I said, because there's some people in the hall that no, we don't get along like that. And why would I give up my life when he don't like me? And, you know, and I'm like, and so I said, in my reasoning, I said, we also preach a resurrection. I said, he'll be resurrected, and I keep it moving. Oh, they did not like that. They did not like that at all. But I mean, you could still, you could feel it in the air. I mean, period. You could feel it in the air, and there was no unity there. And then, like, you know, and like the Most High said, a divided household cannot stand.
That's right. You can tell
it cannot stand.
Someone is just tolerating you versus somebody loving you. You can feel love is palpable. Love and acceptance brings peace. Love and acceptance eradicates doubt. When someone's just tolerating you, you're unsure. There's no peace in that relationship, and there cannot be unity where there is no peace. It just can't be. And I'm beginning to understand more and more why unity is so important, why agreement is so powerful. Agreement is so powerful because agreement creates an environment of peace, and anything is possible within the peace, the shalom of the Most High. It is a very, very powerful force, and it takes love to break through all of those doubts and all of those barriers. What does the scripture say? It says perfect love does what? It casts out fear. And one of the biggest issues why even in, you know, certain religious denominations, you still have that tension, you still have that strife among people who profess to have the same faith is because there is fear present in that relationship. Oh, well, hello, Brother Karis.
Hey, shalom, everyone. Greetings. Shalom, salama.
Timmy.
Shalom.
You know, let me tell you. Give Brother Mike and Sister Shar a hand because yeah, no, I had been working on this book from sun up to sundown and got up early this morning and was working. I just got through publishing the ebook, and I'm trying to work on the paperback and hard cover. So, yeah, they got thrown into this.
They did. Find another word for that?
Yeah, they got they got flung into it. A little bit of a body slam, a little bit of a bus running them over, you know, all that stuff.
Well, we celebrate you and your accomplishment, and You know, teamwork makes the dream work over here at Q2UA. And you know how Brother Mike is. Brother Mike is not going to see his brother need something and he not going to show up. This brother let us slingshot him over to Tanzania for the mission. Brother Mike is not going to sit back and see his brother need something and he can't come and help. So.
Not even trying to entertain that one. We got to start somewhere. We got to start somewhere. I mean, and if it's going to be one, let it be one person. Did not the Most High, when he got upset at Israel, he told him, said, stand back. I'm going to destroy every last one of them. I'm going to make a nation out of you, Moses.
Good.
It can be done.
Well,
it can be done.
I had spoken to Mike. Sister Shar had called. And I said, I won't be able to talk to her. I know she's going to try and give me a prep talk or a rally speech. I said, I got to get this thing done. That was to get it published so it can be ready and available by Monday. The hard copy, in terms of paperback and hardcover, that probably won't be available till around, I would say Wednesday or Thursday. But let me tell you, look, these ebooks, man, they take you to the cleaners. So it's priced for $34.95. $34.95. And yeah, you'll cry to what what funds actually come into our hands from that one. But it's one of those things you just have to do something. Better do something than not do anything at all. And that's just, the lot that we're given, especially for this time. So I wanted to make sure that that's there. You do have the webinar, the Zoom webinar. It's free for those that want to show up on August 11th at 11 a.m. That's August 11th at 11 a.m. I'm going to say, look, if you have time, show on up and learn a thing or two, experience a thing or two, we kind of go from there. So,
you push through. And that's why you didn't want to answer the phone to get this pep talk about you can do it. Get her done.
Well, no, I didn't. No, I didn't get it all the way done. I at least got the ebook done. I'm still having problems with the hardcover and the paperback. So at least that's on out there. And there's a thing that I have for hardcovers and paperbacks, because I like to go through, right? I like to read. I like to get the little, back in the day, you had the bookmark. I like to take the bookmark, go line by line by line, to read. And especially when you're having an interesting read, that's how that goes. Now, I'm telling you, the enemy has just been messing things up. I was emailing the board yesterday at about 9:45 at night, and I'm like, look at this. The PDF was all messed up. The proof was all messed up.
A lot of stuff that we're going to do in this time, it may not appear to be correct, because when you're dealing with stress, and I'm quite sure 90% of the brothers and sisters in the chat has some type of stress they're going through right now. You can hang it up. I know they're going through it. When you're in his system, the stress is going to be, at times, it would appear to be unbearable. And I say appear, because the thing that you strive for, and for a fact you're doing it correct, but something goes wrong. You just said it, Karis. The devil is always he's always in the middle of something against you, Sister Shar, myself, Guard, Sister Lila, Lamira, Prophet, template. They want to be against us. Anybody that is for the Almighty, He is against you. And the more we realize that, the better off we're going to be. Because if we concentrate on this unnecessary stress that we're going through, and I say unnecessary, it's because it's coming from the devil.
Well,
But it's going to make us.
what do we know from
I'm
the
sorry.
scripture about the Most High allowing our adversaries to rise up against us? He is our Elohim of war. He is the King of hosts. He allows the enemy to rise up against us to teach our hands to war. And that's why, whenever we here at Law for Love encounter these kind of hardships, our cry is, we will not be defeated. We will not be defeated. So whatever frustration may come, whatever stress may come, whatever hardship or monkey wrench get thrown in the game, that's okay. Because by my praise, I'm going to step on my enemy's neck. By my shout and declaration of the Most High's power, the enemy will be defeated. We will not be defeated. The gates of hell will not prevail against us, his chosen. And so that's why we have joy. We count it all joy when we go through, when we get pressed, crushed, and squeezed. It's okay, because we all feel the crunch, the squeeze, and the pressure. And to the Most High be the glory.
Exactly. Hallelujah. And that's what should be said, stated, and moved on with it. What you got there, Karis?
Okay, so let's get on into this. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to Quest to Unite Africa. You have Exploring the Motherland at 10 a.m. and then you have the Africa Logistical Agency that's at noon, and these are Eastern Standard Times. There's a couple things I wanted to address. So we're gonna go down this storyboard of sorts. Put the link in the chat. So it says OB clash with protesters demanding President William Ruto's resignation. So important. A couple of weeks ago, you heard that Kenya had kind of toned down, right, the protests. And honestly, by and large, that report was not true.
Wait a minute, say it again.
In the West, you've heard that the Kenyans had, turned down the protest. And, by and large, that actually was not true. What it was they tried to do the same thing. Okay, we're gonna get a new cabinet in and everything else. And the reality of it was they were trying to buy themselves time, and they put the cabinet in, and it's the same yes men. So now the protests are swinging through. And listen, folks want him to resign because you weren't going to get any type of change. Let's be honest with that. You weren't going to get any type of change. If you were going to change, it should have been at the top. It should have been with the resignation. And honestly, it should have been with a different, constitution, to be quite honest. Because let's just face it, a lot of what happens in Africa is that their constitution is so heavily westernized that it's like, all right, it's technically your constitution, but we have all the say so. That's what the West is telling them. Don't you like democracy? And, folks are getting sick of quote unquote democracy. And if you don't like the democracy, you're going to have what you had with in Mali with, Ukrainians fighting on the side of terrorists. So much for, getting a dose of democracy. I'm just saying the whole world saw it. Now now all the cat's out the bag. Any comments?
I don't know. I mean, when they talk about these uprisings and things, to a degree, I take them as a distraction, and at the same time, I take them as a warning. That's how I take them, because when there's an uprising, there's an action that individuals need to be taken, because all they're doing is giving out a warning shot. That's how I'm looking at it. This is what's about to come to you. This is the thing that's about to happen there or here, whatever the situation may be. When it's all over said and done, it's going to be based upon your love and your faith in the Most High. Man is going to do some thing that's going to twist your line of sight. If they got to hang bodies from a tree, they going to do that just to get you dismantled mentally and spiritually if possible. And that's what I'm seeing. This is what we're witnessing. Right now, this is just the start of it. It's the faith that's going to keep you to go through it, and obedience too. This is how I see these things. I mean, I see what's going on. I watch a few clips of it, listen to other brothers and sisters state their viewpoints and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, at the end of all of it, it's going to be about where do you stand? And that's going to be individually. Where do you stand? And that's my take on it, bro. It's just sure I don't know what she had, but that's my take on it.
I'm gonna lean towards Brother Michael's analysis when it comes to the division, the conflict, the strife, right? And why for whatever reason, what came to my mind was, what was it about Bob Marley that made him a threat to the establishment? Why was Bob Marley so powerful and such a threat? Because he found a way through music and the culture of the music to bring the world together. Unity is such a powerful force and is so anti-establishment that when we buy into the narrative, it's just like when Trump first ran for president and you saw like people actually falling out with their own family over this man. I didn't get it. I was like, wait, hold up. I'm not falling out with my people over this stuff. Like, why are our emotions being manipulated so strongly that we're willing to fight each other? Why are we being stoked to rage? The thing about these leaders that we know are not for their own people, we know that they're puppets. Whatever has to be done for them to get up out of the way, for just and righteous people to be in power, to serve the people and not their puppet masters, that is going to come from the people. And that, we heard recently on a live call with these young people out of Kenya what is actually happening and why they are standing against unrighteousness. Let's just call it what it is. That mobilization and that unity for what justice stands for, that is going to overpower corruption. I don't care how bad it looks right now. We know that love will always overcome fear. And so the fearlessness of these young people is to be commended. And however it is that each and every one of us can get involved, whether it's praying for their strength, praying for their safety, praying for their courage, anyone who stands against unrighteousness and wickedness is going to, that unity and that love for what is right, it is going to overcome the corruption. But for us, on a broader scale, we have to always be on the lookout for the divisive tactics. And I had saw earlier, someone mentioned in the chat how even they're dividing us male against female, right? Like it's not male against female, parent against child, child against parent, culture against culture. Like all of these things we knew were going to happen because Yahusha said they would in Matthew 24. The other thing that he said that the love of many would wax cold, meaning what? You would no longer regard each other with love. You would no longer look to have compassion on one another. So if we know that this is how the enemy is robbing, stealing, and destroying, then I look at it, I'm always looking at the counterattack. That's how I litigate. That's how I fight. If I see you're using a certain kind of strategy and that strategy is working towards the masses, I'm going to find the opposing force and I'm going to utilize that. They're using division, so we need to be using unity.
Mm-hmm. Every day. Every single day. I'm telling you that it's somebody put it in the chat. It's a spell. They know exactly what they need to do in order to divide the people up, to keep contentions going on, and an abomination. They know exactly how to do it. They do it perfectly, and all of this, at the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to boil down to, because there's something else that they want to do, that they need the masses of people not paying attention to what's the real showstopper that they wants to put out there. If the devil got to use his own people, he go use them. If they got to be guinea pigs, so be it. He'll use them as guinea pigs. That's what he do. And especially when you don't have when you don't have a future, for you to be living and to have no future, that is absolute stressful and discouraging at the same time. When you living and you do not have a future that the Most High already promised you due to his unfaithfulness. Woo, that's a terrible combination. Very, very terrible. But
so let me bring this on back here to the crux of everything that we're seeing right now, and that is you have an OIC meeting. And let me put this in the chat if I hadn't done so already. This OIC stands for the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And the reason that this is so important right now, why is it brought up on Quest to Unite Africa? Why is it here? Why is it even African related? You got to remember, half of Africa follows Islam for the most part. And so when you have right now, this Organization of Islamic Cooperation now being chaired by the Foreign Minister of Gambia, Mamadou Tangara, who chairs OIC, this is very telling because it says here, the aggression, this is what he quotes, the aggression and violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Islamic Republic of Iran by assassination of a political leader on its soil is an act that cannot be viewed in isolation. Technically speaking, whenever you see things like this, he goes on. He goes on. He says this heinous act serves only to escalate existing tensions, but then potentially leading to a wider conflict that could engulf the entire region. What does that mean? Well, that simply means that you had a terrorist action. That is the actual definition of terrorism of what took place. There was a terrorist action that took place. And the way that this is going is that now the whole world, not to say the whole world, most of the world is now condemning Israel. Let's just put it on out there. And here it is. In contrast, the United States and various Western countries are advocating for de-escalation, but the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is now basically saying that they are giving the thumbs up for anything that goes on, because honestly, it's now in Iran's prerogative. And let me tell you, Iran is a thinking nation. They're not here just to, pull the trigger. They could do that anytime they want. They could shut down the Strait of Hormuz anytime they want. They could shut down the Red Sea anytime they want by pressing the Houthis. Matter of fact, they don't even have to press the Houthis. The Houthis, I believe, in my opinion, well, I'm a source. I am intimately familiar with how the Houthis think. So, in my opinion, the Houthis could shut down the Red Sea, the Bab al-Mandeb, anytime they want to. To me, I believe that they're not allowed to because they get leaned on by Iran, and then Iran is leaned on by Russia via China. Understand how these dynamics go. It is Russia that's leaning on Iran, and it's China. You only have a little strip in that Caucasus with Azerbaijan, Yemen, and Georgia that separates Russia. So it is very, very geographically close. And they are only separated by the Caspian Sea. And they're also talking about building a pipeline in the Caspian Sea. And they're already talking about trying to have the Caspian Sea go to the, I think, Sea of Azov, which goes into the Black Sea, which goes into the Aegean, and then into the Mediterranean through the Strait, or Bosphorus Strait. So they're trying to have another direct water route through Russia into Europe. It's a lot. It's a very big geopolitical spider web that has to be untangled. At the end of the day, Iran is centrally located. So is Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia is not going to make any friends or not going to keep any allies on this one. I believe, to me, in my opinion, I believe Saudi Arabia is trying to press that envoy to Iran to say, hey, you're going to strike. We're going to have to let some things through. But please don't wipe them out completely. Why? Because we have interest. That's the backroom willing and dealing. It is. It's the backroom wheeling and dealing. And Iran, to me, this is my opinion. Iran, to me, is telling the Saudis, look, your days of dealing with them are numbered. You can have this interactions with the OIC here all you want to, but the majority has spoken. Well, that seems kind of democratic to me. The majority has spoken. So what does that mean? To me, it doesn't matter what the West says. And you've been hearing stories left and right. I mean, I was hearing stories from some far right folks to medium right to neutral of, oh, well, tensions are going to simmer down. Remember that back on Tuesday and Wednesday? And now, then Thursday, they realized that Iran International wasn't even an Iranian publication. It came from the Saudis, which means it came from the West, which means that the Saudis are now on that. They're in Jehoshaphat. This is the valley of decision for them. This is the valley of decision for a lot of folks. I'm telling you. If you didn't know how Israel is allowed to be there, yeah, it's about to be a little controversial, but let's just understand this. The reason that Israel is allowed to be in the Middle East to begin with is because of Saudi Arabia. That's my opinion. And it's not necessarily an opinion, it's actually the fact under the Balfour Declaration, under the Sykes-Picot, to how they were chopping things on up. It's the wheel and deal of how Europe gains access and control. Unfortunately, now Saudi Arabia is in a bad position. They're in a bad predicament because now you have to understand the way that the Saudis live, the way that they work, the way that they move. %70 of Saudi Arabia is of African descent. 70%. Let's not forget the trans-Saharan slave trade that Saudi Arabia was heavily involved in. Let's not forget that Saudi Arabia, up until about 90 years ago, they had slavery clear up until the 1930s. For those that do not understand the history of Saudi Arabia as intimately as I have. Don't underestimate that Saudi Arabia gets a lot of its tourism through African nations. And not just tourism, Saudi Arabia also gets their workforce through African nations. They're in between the rock and a hard place. Why do you think that they hosted this? I'm going to go into this real deep. The first book I put on out there it's an introduction. Because you have to understand the layers of this. If you don't understand the layers of this, then you're just going to be completely lost. Because that's what a lot of our world, a lot of people, it's times of darkness. Why is it darkness? Because people are lost. I don't know about this. Nobody explained that. I never realized this. Somebody didn't tell me that. Times of darkness. Why? Because nobody knows what's going on and nobody will articulate it for you. Oh, Brother Karras, you're telling too much. You're talking too much. Uh-oh. Powers that be. Powers that be. So when you're seeing this, the OIC blaming Israel, and it's an African nation that's doing it, as they're chairing it, that means that the majority of the continent has spoken. That means a majority of the global south has actually spoken, which means you're not coming, they're not coming back from that. Okay, let's get everybody to the table. I had to laugh because there are so many fake reports that all this was going on Wednesday and Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Putin, right? Putin said that he's trying to make them reconsider, and they're about to reconsider. Putin said, I'm like, where are they coming for with that? It's all fake. It was all fake. I said, no, Iran's going to strike. They're going to strike hard because why? Because they're getting the curry, not from they don't care about what the West says. And I think that's the bias, right? They feed on the bias. Oh, well, it always has to do with what the United States says, especially the UN and the United States. They don't care about that. Why do you think people are panicking at the beginning of the week? People know when things are real and people know when things are fake. That was a real crash because they know that there's going to be a real strike, which means there's going to be a real action. And the moment that those bombs start going off, the moment that they start to clamber into their shelters, and then they begin to get cut off from the rest of the world, you have to understand this. It's not just going to be something that is a one-off. No, it is not. In my opinion, it is going to be an economic siege on Israel. Go into the bunkers all you want to, but by the time you get out of the bunkers, there's not going to be anything left for you to go back to. So do you think they're just going to stay there and rubble? All right, they're building, bomb it. All right, you see a bulldozer, you see an earth mover, bomb it.
Mm. Mm.
It's going to get like that. They'll give some, not armistice, but they'll give strategic pauses to let people leave.
What, they'll give people what now?
Strategic pauses to let folks leave. In my opinion. That's my opinion. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a wave after a wave. How come the U.S. can't do anything? Well, our forces are strategically positioned for this and that. It's gonna start to get really real when you start to see that the U.S. is there and they're not able to interdict. People are gonna start to. You got to understand how this dynamic is. When that happens, not only will they see that going on there in Israel, but they'll see what people are looking at here in the United States and how that will affect their psyche here. It is going to be a domino. What do you think that's going to do to the markets? Everybody's selling. Why? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no faith in this. If the U.S. can't save Israel, then how can How are we going to save ourselves? Someone jump in. Someone jump in. Let me know if I'm wrong.
No, that's where your faith will come in at. I mean, faith and paying attention and knowing when to get up and leave. You
No,
know.
I'm not talking about us so much. I'm talking about them. How they,
Shoot. You asked me the wrong question then. I mean, I can't speak for them.
But I mean, but you get what I'm saying? No, we can. We're qualified because we live here. We live here. We see how they're walking, how they're talking, how they're moving. Oh no, the US is there, and yeah, they're gonna do this and do that.
I mean, if they feel so strongly about the United States, I'm talking about individuals now. Yeah, they go fight for it off the top. Although, it may not appear to be a losing battle, but they go fight.
I look at it like this. When you see them, they're going to hit the panic button. When they see that, they're going to hit the panic button. And guess what they always love to do? They love to assign blame to other folks. They're not going to assign blame to themselves. They're going to assign blame to other folks. They're going to start fighting each other over here.
Oh, man, yeah. That means...
Off the top. Sister Shaw, what say you? What say you?
Well, this week we've been practicing yielding to subject matter experts, right? So, this is your lane. This is where, I take a seat as a student and I just think and I consider and I process the implications of the things that you're saying. I'm not, and you say that we're qualified to speak to certain things, but again, in this lane, we regard you as a subject matter expert. I'm learning from your analysis at this point, and I'm just taking note and I'm digesting it because it's interesting and it's a perspective that you rock with, not me.
Well, it's interesting because you're not going to hear that perspective from the mainstream media. And honestly, you're not going to hear that perspective from any, well, I'll say the percentage is a very, very tiny margin, from from our Caucasian country folks, right? Per se here in especially the United States diaspora. Those that understand the intricacies. I'm not the only, minority, dissenting voice on this. There are others, but it then becomes, well, that's crazy. That makes no sense. That's nonsense. Cue the draft. Cue how they've been trying to up, folks to enter the army. Cue how they've been trying to put legislation on the table to do what? To have the immigrants that came on over to do what? To register? This is all real. Why is that? Hey, we gave you all this money, so you need to fight for us. Does anybody see this okie doke? Here's the okie doke.
It's slick. Or as Brother Michael called it, the pimp game.
The pimp game, yeah. They got that talcum powder. They got that talcum powder.
Oh, the pimp game is real. And, isn't that how they play the game though? What does the scripture say? It says, if you sit to the table with a king or a ruler, or let's say a person of influence, power, money, consider your appetites carefully and put a knife to your own throat. If you be a person, give it to appetite. What is that warning us? It's telling us, hey, this person who's sitting up here, oh yeah, here, have, eat. Like, no, his heart is not with you. He's setting you up.
Yep.
And that's how they move. They love to put you in a position where you're beholden to them and now you can't say no. Isn't that what the Epstein Island is all about? Like, get you there, take the pictures, and now you gotta look, you gotta do our bidding. We got one on you.
Yep, you got set up.
Got pictures of you and everything. Caught you in a compromising position. And I said, when you talk about a pimp, when you talk about a pimp, the West pimped the whole world. That's what it did. But when the world started to clean itself up and start to look at all the finer details of this pimp, then there's a measure of hatred that starts to brew up until it gets to a point where the pimp, or not the pimp been using the world as his woman or his hoe. But when she started to clean herself up, she started to realize how badly he been abusing her. And that's what the world is waking up to. They woke up to it. And now they bringing all of that frustration, embarrassment, whatever you name, they got it's all gonna sum up. They bringing a great deal of hatred right back to them. That's where we're at right now. It's a great deal of hatred.
Yeah. So somebody had asked, did Saudi Arabia renew the gas deal? No, they never did. They never did. Why? Because they don't want to be beholden to the dollar, because you got to understand, they know how the dollar is hooked in. They know how this dollar is hooked in. Look, when I tell you this, look, there's a whole geopolitical realignment that's happening right now. And you got to understand, they cannot afford to lose the manpower from Africa. I wish you all could understand that on the ground, how Saudi Arabians are actually comprised. It's a staggering figure when they told me like how many Arabs. It's like, yeah, it's 30% actual Arabs. We're talking about, Ottomani, Turks, things of that nature. 70% black. 70% black. 70% of African origin. Do you understand how big that is? Because then you're relying on your people that are of African origin to do what? To provide security for you? See, they like to tell you that, everything is light bright over in Saudi Arabia, and honestly, it's a lie. I lived over there for almost 6 months. It's a lie. No, it's black folks. You had a lot of Nigerians. You really did.
In Saudi Arabia?
Yes, you did.
You got Nigerians there?
You had a lot of Nigerians. You had a lot of Egyptians. Yep.
Oh, you said Nigerians. I thought you said Nigerians.
No, it's Nigerians. Yes, you had a lot of them.
Oh, all right.
That's how that worked. And that's not just Saudi Arabia. You want to know who that is? That's most of the Arabian Peninsula. Don't get it twisted. That is the Arabian Peninsula. So, of course, what OIC did was they threw down the gauntlet on Saudi Arabia. That was the power move that Saudi Arabia was trying to avoid. Oh, we're going to host you real quick in Riyadh. We're going to host you over here real quick. Don't worry, we got you. We're gonna bring this on in here. We're gonna now just do what we tell you. Saudi Arabia lost its position this week, i.e., they have no cover. I.e., they have no cover.
Hold on, Carries, but wait a minute. I thought they just I thought they signed up with BRICS.
They did.
So why do you say they don't have cover?
Because you got to remember the whole thing that Saudi Arabia was trying to do was they're trying to play the hokey pokey with BRICS. I got my left foot in, I got my left foot out, got my right foot in. Right? They were trying to be duplicitous. So right now, they're only given one side. You better choose a side or you're going to get messed up. Iran it said it. You go on in there, Iran's going to target them. And it won't be proxies that's going to target Iran.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. You said, wait a minute. The Saudis, they signed up with BRICS. They got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, who would come up against them? Who did you say?
Saudi Arabia would then have Iran targeting their oil fields.
Why would Iran do that to them? And they're supposed to be like, brothers?
Well, Iran is Shia and Saudi Sunni. So really, they're not necessarily brothers. Iran is Persians. Those are Medes, Persians and Medes. Saudi is really Saudis are really your Ottomani, basically your Turks, your Turkish component, Ottomanis. There's a Edomic or Edom component there. They're not brothers. They're not. They share the same faith. They share the same religion, but they're not brothers. No.
But you think Iran would? But you would think that Iran would bomb them and things of that nature?
Yeah, Iran's been doing it for years with Houthis. You see what I'm saying? They've been doing it for years with Houthis. So you got to remember when that happens, they're actually telling them it's a direct challenge now. They never really had a direct challenge to not just Iran, but also UAE, also Qatar, also all the folks who said, look, you're going to interdict. If you try to interdict and bring down any of these missiles, we're going to target you. And they're going to target. Look, them Iskanders, I think, are hypersonic capable that Russia just been delivering them.
All right, but this is my only concern is this. If the Saudi is not not selling their oil to the United States, what's the conflict? That's what I'm trying to understand. What is the conflict that, Iran will,
Because you have to look at it like this. Even though Saudi may not be selling its oil directly, they're still selling their oil to the United States, but they're not limiting their oil sales to just dollars. Also, you have to remember there's a whole bunch of U.S. troops stationed in Saudi Arabia. Don't get that twisted.
Okay.
So you understand this. Even though Saudi, it could be Saudi Arabia could just say, hey, we don't want to get involved. That doesn't matter. You already have a U.S. base there. So now the Saudis are going to have to say to the U.S. forces, do not do anything. Do not shoot anything down. Do not engage. What do you think is going to happen? I think, to me, my opinion, U.S. forces are going to engage. They're not going to even care about what Saudi Arabia says. And, there's going to be a bloodbath. In my opinion, it's going to be a bloodbath. Yeah, U.S. won't listen. No, you're going after the sacred cow. That's why we're here. That's why we've been positioned. And Saudi Arabia's gonna be like, you're not going. You're not listening to my territorial position. You're not listening. And the U.S. is going to say, forget that. We got to save our golden cow, our sacred cow. So understand, family, this thing, it is going to be turmoil no matter how you cut it. All the Saudis are trying to do, they're just trying to ease away a little bit, farther from the barrel that's from the barrel of the weapon that's literally pointed at their foreheads. It's going to be, they're going to get hit, right? They're going to get hit. They're going to get messed up. But it's going to be, is it going to be half my face or all my full skull blown off? So when you understand that, when seeing how Saudi Arabia has been moving for years, you're now understanding they picked the wrong side. It really is. They picked the wrong side, and now they're seeing that their fate is, they're in a bad position. They're really in a bad position. If I was a Saudi right now, I'd be a little scared. I would now not a little scared. I'd be very scared if I was a Saudi.
Yeah, that's the nature of the world.
Yeah.
Shoot, I mean, what?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just looking at it from a world standpoint. The whole world is fighting and the whole world is frustrated. And this is just another portion of the frustration. This is just another portion of a frustrated world. And they're showing their frustration. They're letting it be heard. I mean, man, because I never would have thought that, Iran would, make a threat in that type of a nature with a country that's like next door to Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, it's on the other side of that Arabian or Persian Gulf, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
Why does this matter? Why does this matter when it comes to Question Night Africa? Because here's the thing. Russia's already given support to Iran. If the West gets involved, Russia's going to be supporting that. Why is that a big deal? Russia's already in Syria. I'm sharing this article right here. I'm going to drop this here in the chat. And again, family, if you'd like to support Question Night Africa, do so by donating at the link that I have right here. It is in the chat. Due to reasons, obviously, we can't tell you all the things that is opening on up. We can't tell you that. We can't tell you the the relationships that we're opening up on the continent.
Can we use the term that we had to develop to really bring an understanding of what this is and even what the Rise of Africa is about and Question Night Africa's positioning? The word is neo-diplomacy, family.
Yeah.
We're talking about neo-diplomatic relations. Because what do we know from the Psalm 83 Confederacy? They did not want us to be a nation. They did not want us to identify ourselves as a nation. And now this neo-diplomatic environment, voices from among our people here in the diaspora are engaging at very high levels on our behalf as a nation. That's what's happening here. This is neo diplomacy, and it's the most high. Like, none of us had any idea what was being staged here and how the Most High's favor was going to move on this organization to literally sling doors wide open for the voice of our people to be heard and for these relationships to be cultivated and rebuilt across the Atlantic or from wherever else our people are scattered across the four corners of the earth. We are now voicing the perspective, the heart, the gift, skills, talents, leadership of the diaspora. And it's not lost on many African nations how important this relationship is. This is a diplomatic piece of the puzzle because we are a nation. Regardless of what they attempted to do, we know it. We know we are a nation and we're speaking as a nation again. And so the name of the game is neo diplomacy.
So let me put this on in here. Nigeria detains students for allegedly displaying Russian flags during protest. Just going down to the article. Supposedly they said Nigerian security forces have detained 7 Polish, they said nations, I believe that's nationals, including 6 students and a lecturer, for allegedly displaying Russian flags during protest against economic hardship in the West African nation, Nigerian and Polish authorities said Wednesday. And I just want to go down to here. And it says here, in one viral video from Kano State, a protester who looked to be in his teenage years held a Russian flag beside a placard that read, "Russia, come and help us." Russia has denied any involvement in the use of its flags in the protest. If you didn't know, that's a lot to digest. That is so much to digest. If you didn't understand, we brought this up, I think, even last week and 2 weeks ago. They're looking for a change in management. A change in management. It's a change in management. So now I'm going to say this. You're going to tell me the West can say, if I was this brother right here holding this flag with this sign, and you're saying that with holding the flag and the sign, well, I mean, listen, tomorrow you could say that, but here's the funny thing. The funny thing is actually this. Russia never colonized any nation. If you can provide a source, I would gladly take the source, but Russia actually never colonized any nation. So I think you could say they're going from one colonizer to another. That is well within your right, but I would like to, have that historical let's keep this into historical accuracy. Matter of fact, you can actually say that during the 1960s, that is actually how a lot of the African nations gained independence. And then what ended up happening was you had Western installed leaders come to power after their independence. So it really never did anything. And now you're seeing really the fallout from there. Oh, you can still buy a Russian flag anywhere. They look. They probably made themselves some Russian flags. Don't act like they don't have Google on out there. They don't have the internet.
They got, they shoot. I mean, what? They know how to weave their own material and dye it.
Yep. Yeah. So like I have to kind of laugh because it's like, as we're seeing all these things coming about, that's the ground work. And let me tell you, these folks on the continent, they see what's happening in other places on the continent. They see what's happening to the north of them in Nigeria, in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They're folks are taking their stuff back. They're claiming their stuff back. So now as we see things moving on the continent, look, it was only a matter of time. You're going to have the Ibrahim Traore effect. I don't think most of the Africans are Canaanites. That's a nice try.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't.
Nice try.
No.
That's a nice try. I mean, I'm glad that you're conceding that, we're Israelites, but you have to also understand, you have a lot of Israelites on over there too. And I get it. Look, when I had the picture there, here come the trolls coming through. I understand. I understand. I set my look. Today was being a glutton for punishment. And there's a lot of them. So
oh yeah,
the trolls are coming in. Yep. All right.
Well, yeah. I see where this is going.
Talk to us at the end of the year.
Hey. E1, B1, and all that. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
At the end of the year when things aren't looking really, as nice and neat. Matter of fact, actually, you talk to us come next month when the stock market continues to slide. I think that's what you need to work on. But getting back to it, that's the campaign that you have. These folks are running scared. And I'm glad that they're in here, family, because you got to see they're running scared. They know they're scared.
Running scared and trying to cause confusion at the same time.
But that's the game plan. That's the game plan. You got to remember, listen, they're mad they got found out. They know that we know who they are. Obadiah. That's all I got to say. Obadiah. Go read that for yourself. Joel chapter 3. Go read that for yourself. Oh, they hate them scriptures. But he could say all that because why? Because most of our people have never traveled outside the United States. And now you see that they're losing the narrative. Oh man, they've lost. They've lost in a big way. As you know, they've lost. And that should show you, look, in order for the West to survive, there has to be gatekeeping that's done. There has to be. And now, if you see that the traditional gatekeeping operation is actually dying, and now you're not telling these young folks anything. I don't care how much, funds or things or that concessions that they want to make. We'll give you $1. Look, who trusts the dollar anymore? Who can really trust the dollar anymore? Yes, I understand. They want to be able to, say, we can give you all of this printed money. And when this is an economic slide, things are going to be printing, and more printing. That's just how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised that we see hyperinflation here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not saying months, I'm saying 2 or 3 weeks.
What you saying? I went to the farmer's market the other day and it was confusing. I was like, wait, I thought this was the farmer's market. Like, it was really, really confusing that those prices were so interesting. It's next couple of weeks, that thing already upon us from all this paper printing that's been going on since the stimmy. Since those stimmies were authorized back in 2020, they were unleashing this hyperinflation.
Well, think about this. Think about this, because you already know how things work, right? You already know how. Okay, if people didn't understand how this economy survives, then I don't know what to tell you. But let me try to educate some people. Okay, you get monies from the government to be in business. Intel had received billions of dollars to stay in business. And now they're having to lay off 15,000 employees. That's a lot of people, because that's going to be affecting the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. Particularly the Portland, Oregon area. That's a whole bunch of people that got laid off. Where did they go? In a market that's really not hiring anybody. What happens to them? What happens to their livelihoods? What happens to their homes? All of these things that I'm just going to throw money at the problem. We had told you this. If you had been listening on this channel, if you have been listening on Covenant Awakenings, throwing money at a problem never solves it doesn't solve anything. It never solves anything.
Why they never threw some money at black people?
Because they really don't want the problem fixed.
Yeah.
Let's just.
Yeah.
They really didn't want the problem fixed. Let's just be honest.
Wait, hold on. They did throw money at black people. And what most of us didn't realize when they started throwing stimmies at us, that tax rebate foolishness threw people's tax refunds off. People didn't realize, like, the game. It's always like a string attached. It's always a bait and switch. And whenever they're giving it to us, please be on the lookout for the string, because there's nothing benevolent about anything they give to us. A lot of people got in their following year's tax returns, not realizing that cashing those rebate checks, you were actually you were cashing in your tax refund in advance.
Yeah. So understand that was their whole situation. They did that back in 2020 to, say, okay, well, we're gonna throw this, we're gonna throw that, we're gonna give this, we're gonna give that. It is not working. It's not working at all, by the way. Because why? Because every other country, the way that you have, and this is what it is. It's the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme that he got found out. Remember, they were trying to, murk him in jail. Because why? Because he literally made money off of their model. He wasn't allowed to do that. There's extent as a citizen and a non-elitist citizen at that. There's an extent to what you are allowed to do in this incorporated organization.
But the thing about that, Karis, is this: the man just used their own pimp game against them. Why is the pimp gonna get mad?
Because the pimp cannot get pimp, player. Listen, player. I see what you're trying to do, player. But you can't be pimping on the pimping. You hear that, pimping?
Oh yeah, you mess with a pimp money. Oh yeah, deletion is like deletion is like the next thing. You know what?
No, let's be honest. Let's just be real. The only reason that he got found out and he was that it was that egregious. Let's just be honest. The only reason it was that egregious is because he did it to other white people. That was white on white crime at the most vicious level.
It really was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Folks were deleting themselves over that.
They probably was running his DNA to try and figure out what is he really white?
Yeah. They said this.
He just used the game against him.
The highest yellow brother ever. We're gonna figure this on out. He must be really black with a light hue. Who are your folks? Who's your family? Who is your kin? Man.
Was that you in they cloned Tyrone and you was in the basement? Was that you with the afro?
Man. No, that's what ended up happening. He had stolen really billions from people, and they got mad. They're like, no, we have to sentence you to this overly egregious sentence. Because why? Because you done showed the model, and people aren't supposed to use the model. When people are seeing how the model was done, I look at it because I have to laugh. When you look at like Bloomberg or Fox Business or all of these market watches, anything that's quote unquote financials, what are they telling you? Forbes, what are they telling you? Now's the great time to get into the market. I believe you got to get in. I believe you got to get for what? To just lose your money? What's the financials? Look, I don't know about anybody else. When I did my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration, I had to do the little mock-up of, well, if this company is making money, you're going to have to look at these, dozen to, dozen and a half indicators for turnover, for assets, inventory, cost of goods.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Brother Karis. How much are you going into that in your book in this first publication?
Not that deep in this publication. I gotta set. This is a scene setter. This book is a scene setter.
Okay.
Yes, this book is a scene setter. But those are the things that you have to know. How does business, or even not just a business, but now in this macro economic scale, how does this economy grow when there's all these forces going against it? How are you going to grow if you are trying to compete against China and China's not even really buying your cars anymore? How are you going to grow when you're losing out on the influence of Africa?
Losing. It seemed like they done lost.
Yeah, there's no growth there. So what do? If you can't grow, you got to do what? Print as much as you can to make things look like a growth. And that's what they're doing, and people are seeing it. I can't invest there. I can't look. They had the nerve to say it was Bank of Japan this week. Well, what happens next week? Well, what happens the week after that? Well, we're going to throw some other countries under the bus. We'll figure it on out. We got over 100 some odd countries. We can figure it on out. That's tied to this dollar system. 100 weeks gives us. They were doing the math. They're like, that's about 2.5 years. We can, go on with this charade, give or take.
As the Ponzi turns.
As the Ponzi turns, 2.5 years.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's not going to work. I know that these folks have, these Ivy League degrees and things of that nature. And it's a comedy of errors. And it's really the most tragic story ever, because they're listening to these folks, and it's like, take a look at the financials. Take a look at how they're reporting. What are they reporting year to year? You can actually Google that and get the metrics, get the numbers. Look at a YouTube video to figure it on out. I mean, these are things that's there. Why are these folks having to, do all these sorts of consolidations, all of these mergers and acquisitions? Because why? Because as people are losing money, they have to now consolidate. We've been talking about this. People talk about New World Order, New World Order. Well, we've been in a New World Order since the 1400s, if people don't want to understand that was really, and then you've had a couple of iterations of New World Order, so I don't really want to hear people talk about New World Orders. No, it's just the next global iteration. That's more appropriate. The next global iteration is not going to it's not going to deal with the West. Because why? Because, I mean, if you've been a bad house guest, that's just what happens. They're putting you out the house. I can't deal with you anymore. Well, aren't we going to still hang out? Nah, we can't. No. Aren't we going to still? No. But no. So BlackRock just changed its name. Yeah, it had to. Everything is going to start changing its name. Everything's going to start, the next, a shed of the skin, right? The next shedding of its skin. It's going to happen. And I don't think anybody's going to buy it, because.
So what they name now? Rock Black? Man, please.
Oh, man, listen, they changed it to Negro Slab. Negro
Wow.
Man.
But let me ask you something. If the economy crashed, the dollar's no good. What's the worst case scenario? You think they go continue to print money?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. You print.
It's exactly what Germany did, Brother Mike.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really trying to get a historical you know, I'm trying to get some historical perspective because I know that this is what Germany did.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's interesting. They became isolationist,
Yep.
self-protecting, print, 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 print. Because they did that, you can see the pattern, right, of what to expect here. Because the United States is now in the exact same economic policy that World War II Germany was in.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I'm looking at is this, though. You're at the doorstep of a war, and these countries that you need stuff from, they're not taking your money. Your money is worthless. So how can you continue to fight a war, let's just say for years, and your money is no good? That's what I mean.
Well,
That's what I'm looking at.
because you're going to have a lot of government programs. It's going to be a lot of government sanctioned
But
programs,
but
right?
but, but, then, but I mean, when you talk about government programs, but the government, I mean, what? Who are you to threaten me? You cannot afford a bullet. So
Doesn't
how
matter.
in the world you think you will sanction me?
Well, listen, they'll try, right? And but you got to remember, it'll be the bark, right, with no bite. That's the only thing that they'll be able to do. It's just going to be a bark with no bite. And you got to understand that is the position that they're putting themselves in. That's the scariest thing. This is why. And this time, they're not going to tell you this, that in this time, they're the most fearful. Somebody is literally stepping up to the plate. Somebody is literally calling them on out. Okay, come on. And I told you, I was telling you, when the Houthis started to come on up to the plate, look, y'all people think that the Houthis, that Yemen, all the Yemenis, they listen to Iran, they listen and this and that. No, they don't. No, they don't. The Houthis are their own people. The Houthis there have no chill at all. So when they started to get involved back in November, December time frame, that is when the whole world should have realized, yeah, everybody's in this. Yeah, everybody's getting it. And literally, they just had no choice. They were trying to sugarcoat, oh, we're going to go to the UN. We're going to do this. The Houthis are like, no, you're not. Because I'm still going to be bombing. I don't care what Iran says. I'm still fighting. That's why Canadian Prepper says, yeah, they are the honey badgers of the Middle East. And he's absolutely correct. They don't care. I said, pull up then. Pull up on your boat. I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna pop my trunk.
Mm, mm, mm. Well,
And I'm
this is
gonna
what
pop
they
my
have.
trunk. Yeah, go ahead.
They brought this about. Hey, they got to see it through. So I mean, I just don't see how they're going to spend this. I mean, you could print all the money in the world, but if nobody's not taking your money, you hemmed up. You hemmed up as a nation. So now, whatever you think you can do to another nation, that's going to be a joke. It's going to be a joke because they're going to say, "Hey, we got food to eat. You all need food."
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Did you hear anything from Saudi Arabia in terms of any type of interactions or interjections with the Houthis? Did you hear anything from UAE
Mm-mm.
about the
I mean,
Houthis? Did you hear anything from anybody else? Nah, man. They said we don't have our fill of the Houthis. They said, nah, they can do what they want. That's for real. They said, nah, they can do what they want. They're not even talking. UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're not even saying anything about the Houthis. We're gonna get our US or our partners. The US is like, we're gonna get our partners in the Middle East to come against the Houthis. No, they're not. Nobody is going to sacrifice themselves for that. We saw that coming. Nobody was going to fall on the sword for that. The Saudis knew. They're like, nah, this is why we had to do the peace deal with Iran that China brokered. Keep in mind, China brokered that last year. It's still holding.
You're talking with the Saudis.
With the Saudis and Iranians, it's still holding.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than almost 18 months later. Nah, to be honest, if I was a Saudi and Emirati, I'd be like, ooh, glad they're targeting them and not us. Oh, don't do that. No. You know, they did a little slap on the wrist. No, don't do it. No, they're happy. Better that be done to them than to us. We had to deal with that for about 6 years. Actually, more than that. Beforehand, it was more than that. Almost a decade. And it was a stalemate. If you didn't know, what was ending up happening was Saudi Arabia was running out of troops. Oh, yes, they were. If you didn't understand what was going on, Saudi Arabia was actually bringing in other nations to do what? To fight. Their wars, their battles. Oh, yeah. And those nations, let me tell you who they were. Actually, I can't tell you who they were, but let me tell you, they came from out of Africa. These were countries that came from out of Africa. And we're talking about thousands of people that had died. You know why they couldn't fight? Because they weren't getting backstopped by these African nations anymore. That's a big deal. See, they're not going to ever tell you that. And mainstream news. Oh, we're going to fight. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. No, they're not going to tell you that. And I have to really be careful with my words. Because it's still a sensitive issue, especially with some of these countries that the Saudis had contracted with in Africa. This was what was happening. This is how things were going. This is why things are never going to be turning back. It's never going to be a case of a business as usual, perspective. No.
No, I don't think Africa will do that again.
No. You've lost.
No.
They've lost the youth. They've lost it. The leaders, they've lost it. Honestly, I just say their time in power, it's just they're biding their time. A lot of these folks, if they could flee and rule in absentia, they would try to do it. I don't think they have anywhere to go to. they don't really have anywhere to go to. Because think about it, the moment that they flee and leave, well, they're not going to be getting any money out of them. Because why? They're going to change their currency over to what? an alternative Swift currency. Now, Saudis do have a standing army, but Saudis contract out their armies. They contract out. Yes, they do. There's been articles. Yes, they do. Look, Google things in 2018, 19, and 20. Oh, yes, they do. Al Jazeera will graciously offer all the articles that you would like to know. And a lot of those battles were so vicious against the Houthis. The loss of life was really unfathomable. And I even to this day, I kind of cringe. I cringe at that. Mm. So yes, family, all I can say is it's a brand new world. But we want to thank you all for your showing up here. 350 in the chat. Even to our trolls out there, please like, share, and subscribe.
Maybe you will survive.
So you can be informed when you get over your hate, when you get over your trolling, you can be informed. I'll never do that. We already know that. But hey, like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends to do the same. For our people, like, share, and subscribe to Q2UA Night Africa. Subscribe to the channel. Mike has some great content of how to do business on the continent. The opportunities there are unbounding. They are plentiful. If you're scared and apprehensive, we all get scared and apprehensive about things. We all do. You want to know how scared and apprehensive I was to write a book? And I just got through now publishing it, and hopefully it'll be published in 72 hours by Amazon. And don't know, because listen, when they always say 72 hours, that's standard for them folks. Us know we get through the critical side eye. I'm praying it would be in 72 hours. I'm praying. Some things I've been working on that should have been done within a week, within 2 weeks, it's now taking 3 weeks. It doesn't work like that for us. It doesn't. Understand there is a plan to constantly frustrate us. And everything we do, it's not an easy task. They'll just do it. No. See, if you're taking things for granted about what we'll just do, then guess what you're doing? You're actually harming us by taking things for granted. Because now we're really in a crossroads. We're really at an impasse because it's either support or what are you going to do? Well, Q2UA Night Africa was supposed to be there. And I'm going to tell you, it's the main ones that always are calling and asking and doing all this other stuff with this, and this. And they don't even want to give a dime. How do you expect an organization to run? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Look, you go to that church, pastor will tell you, we got tithes and offerings. And they'll tell you the Most High will provide, God will provide with you making the provision for the vision, right?
Mm. Yeah.
That's what happens. Because why? We're planning for that influx. Because when things go bad, do you think that we're just going to be sitting in the background saying, "Oh, well, things are bad," and it is what it is?
They're gonna be
Or do you
coming in
think
like a flood,
exactly?
like a flood. And the thing about it, Carries, is this. Me and you, we spoke to was that yesterday? We spoke to that brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. They have the mindset, the same mindset. Us coming together and doing business together.
Yeah.
That's their mindset, and it's a very strong mindset too.
Well, we can come together and do business together. That's fine. But let me tell you, what ends up happening to your dollar on an international scale. Your time of doing business is actually over on an international scale. When people want to do business, this is the time to do it. You have to do it when the dollar is meaningful. Now, for those that want to then, go and put their funds back into there, I'm not, this isn't financial advice. I'm not I don't hold any series or anything else. This is not a financial advice. But I really do want us to consider. And here's the thing. I know people drop off because when people have to really think about what it is and the potential that what they could see looking like a Gaza in their own neighborhoods.
Um, Nothing's going to happen. He's wrong. What do you mean by that, Harris?
I don't know. But yeah, but that's the foolishness. That's the folly.
Mm,
When they say that, man, shame on them.
mm.
Because let me tell you, they won't be saying that when things happen. Not a question of if, it's when things happen. Oh, I was saying the whole time that everything was happening. Well, then how come you're still sitting here now with me trying to figure this on out? Oh, well, how come you're not over there with Quest Night Africa getting things done? How come we never saw you over there? Oh, well, I was supporting from far.
Mm.
And I get it. I get it. People are scared. I get it. We get it. YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all these games and everything else. Everything that's been smart has made us dumb. Smart this, instant that, and then you got to understand taking the time to understand things, taking the time to really breaking things down. That is the key to surviving. On our channel, the website, There's emergency preparedness. I would ask that you all look at that, get the things that you need to get. All we can do is just warn you. That's it. That's it. That's it. That is literally the mandate. All we can do is just warn you. If you don't want to help yourself, that's okay. The Bible says when people are fleeing, to flee. They didn't say, oh, well, turn around, help as many as you can, and this and that. No, it's fleeing. And there are a lot of our people, man, they love destruction and they choose it. It's a choice. Everybody has a choice to make in this. Oh, they're asking for money at Q2UA Africa. Yep. Because the moment things pop off, when they pop off, yeah, Brother Karras, man, that email is going to get blown up. Info at Q2UA Africa will get blown up. How come we can't get on your website? How come it says that the traffic is down? Because it costs money to be able to host that amount of traffic. Just saying. You saw that earlier this week with those financial apps and websites and everything else. People were flocking to try to move their money and websites were going down. No, I'm not in Africa. I'm still sitting here posted in good old Tampa, Florida. But I know I planned my emergency routes. I know I planned my rallying positions for my family and for what we're doing at Q2UA Africa. There's a plan in place. And you want to know when we were working on this plan? 6-7 months ago. And you can see that plan on the website in the footer. We're going to bring it on up so it can be visible. Yeah, and then don't think that, folks are just going to be running and running right into Africa. You can't. You want to know what happens when a country has a failed state? You want to know what happens? You can fly there. And then they'll whisk you away into a detention center. Because why? Because they have to check your clearance. Yeah, there's mechanisms on the back end with your passports, with your visas. When you clear through customs, they do another check. So imagine if that country doesn't have what it needs to have, or there's an international advisory that, due to worsening conditions in that country, you have advisories. There are international advisories. Why? You cannot guarantee the safety of who was coming into your country. Do you think a country would be like, oh yeah, just let them all in? No, no. You'll get let in because why? Because you'll be claiming political asylum. I'm here because I don't want to go back there. Does anybody know that when you do claim political asylum, there is a time to where you will be detained? Don't think of the United States where they just give you a stamp, come back in 7 to 10 years. That's not reality. It's not. And it's really frustrating to explain that to our people when they think that, oh, it's just going to be like that, right? And then they look confused. When they're being told, no, you're sitting your behind here until we figure things on out. But when are you going to figure things on out? When there's a responsible party that can start to do what? Declare things. This is all part of why you will have to have a UN delegation when things hit the fan. Why you will have to have an extra governmental organization like a African Union when things hit the fan. Who's coming in? Who's going out? This is the reality. And if you're not told this reality now, then look, I'm going to have to deal with that from the Most High. Because he will judge me. How come you didn't tell my people? Sorry, Father. Sorry, Father. Yep, I forgot that one. Oops, sorry. Yeah, oh, I missed that one. No. Well, in pursuit, guess what? I cannot tell you that. Why would I be even? There are some things you have to infer. You can show up to our monthly updates. You can volunteer so you know what's happening in the background. I'm sorry, but in the military, we always said this. If you don't have a job and you're not helping with something, then you're in the way. If you can't listen, they use shadowy talk all the time. We have been working to establish these neo-political dialogues and conversations with leaders on the continent. I'm not going to lay that on out here on YouTube. Yeah, we're doing this. No. If you understand that we are a very heavily monitored organization, and not just that, we're a very heavily monitored people. Yeah, I saw something about the smallpox. I thought it actually it was here in the United States, and it's kind of running out of control. But they're gonna blame East Africa, but I don't think so. I think that's here. I think honestly, we're right at that the latter half of that ticking time bomb. That was hypodermically facilitated. If you can catch my drift. And if you can't catch my drift, then I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. So you have to understand there is levels to this. There's levels to this. Yeah, thank you, Teen Truth. Yeah, Yahusha did speak in parables to conceal the truth. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. We're still dealing with the same authorities that he literally had dealt with. If you didn't know, you better listen to Jacobus' teaching. It's the same exact thing, the same mechanism. Nothing has changed except the location. People didn't even change. It was literally just the locale. That's amazing. Driven them far from their borders. Amazing. But that's where we're at, family. That's what we're living in. These are the times that we're in. Again, if you'd like to support Quest Unite Africa, I'm telling you, that's what we do. And that's how we move. Won't be able to tell you everything all the time, but just know for certain things are moving. And we got to get Mike taken care of because Mike is getting things going. Sister Shar, any final comments?
Hey, it was an honor to come on out and support the mission. I'm excited and encouraged and blessed about all of the moving pieces and us just being a part of Yah's love and his strategy for putting respect back on his name. So thanks for the invite and
The forced invite. Not much of an invite.
I know what was going on, but at the end of the day, like Brother Mike said, he was like, we're not even finna entertain not coming through for our brother. So, we do what we got to do. And, prayerfully, days like today is just, more of just what the community needs to know about our commitment to the mission, to our people, to our King. So that's all I got for you. Be blessed. Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Thank you, Sister Shar. All right. Thank you, family. Again, let me put the link out to the Zoom. That will be this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a webinar. It is a webinar, and it's free. It's free. So if you get disappointed, hey, guess what? The only thing it cost you was your time. No, I'll just mess with you. No, I don't think you will. It won't. It will not be a disappointment. It will not. Continue to hold Q2UA Africa up in prayer, family. There are a lot of big things going on. A lot of awesome things happening. Um, you know, and there are days that we struggle because the enemy is really mad about what we're doing. I just can't stress to you enough. The enemy is very, very mad about what we are doing. So with that said, family, most high willing, I'll be back on Monday. That is Monday, August 12th. The Zoom again is Sunday, August 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern. Sunday, August 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we'll go from there, family. So with that said, family, stay safe. Be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention to your surroundings. I know our people are going to be out and about getting things together on the Shabbat. Please, 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 family, be aware. And if you aren't aware, ask Yah to give you guidance through the blood of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's it. Because that is the best solution. He is the best solution to having us covered. But it also takes common sense too. So don't be destroyed by a lack of knowledge. Understand what's happening, understand what you're seeing, right? And go from there. So hallelujah. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Yah Sharel. And again, check out Brother Garth going on here in a few, actually right now, on Q2UA Africa.